You know, this actually kind of dawned on me as I woke up earlier this morning. And at first, I really couldn't believe it, but it ended up being true. I think it has something to do with the fact that, you know, with everything going on, the whole coronavirus, self quarantine, and all that stuff, while it's been important to, hold on to, the important things in life, it really has been the kind of distraction where you really don't get just how fast everything's been moving until, again, it dawns on you like it did for me this morning. I say this because, well, not just this week, but for pretty much the entirety of Lent, that's how long, this coronavirus thing has been going on. It's the penultimate Friday before Lent's over. I mean, we have this weekend, all of next week, and boom, we're in Easter. It really has been that fast. Well, first things first, happy Friday, everybody. Now, don't misunderstand me. Yeah, in the past, I've sort of joked about how, it's such a bother that I can't have meat on Fridays, but in truth, it's, again, I sort of play that up for laughs. I don't necessarily let it, get to me. But here, it's been so incredibly, fast moving, every single day we got to worry about, people losing jobs and the coronavirus thing and, self-quarantine, that time has just been moving like a mile a minute. Again, we're already in April. I mean, it really doesn't seem like that, but it really has been moving that fast. Now, granted, I wish the whole circumstances going on right now were better, but when you stop to consider the fact that, for my case, the entirety of Lent started on February 26th, and we're just barely over a week and some change away from Easter, that's huge. I mean, don't get me wrong, whatever it was on Friday, I was still good about not having meat and stuff like that. But man, did it it just sort of I dare say, I think this year, Lent moved a lot faster than most years previous to this. To be perfectly honest, I think it was around, I want to say shortly before I graduated from college when I started paying attention to stuff like this. And even though eventually, Lent was over and we all got through it, it was still on the long side. But here, it feels like, it's already almost over. And it didn't really feel like that. Don't get me wrong, again, I'm not saying obviously, a vast majority of everything going on is not good, but, I guess I am thankful for, what I think it is? I think it's that, because of the whole self-contained coronavirus hoo-ha, whatever it is. Like, I've been finding ways to spend time doing, good things. More specifically, seeing my folks. In fact, full disclosure, I saw them last night. It was actually a very wonderful evening, actually. Stayed with them for a little bit, and the way I'm saying is, maybe I should like a Mom Food Chronicles. That'd be pretty cool. Although, let's see, I already talked about all the stuff my mom did in terms of baking. I already talked about her spaghetti and how she makes meat sauce with actually, this is one. Actually, I didn't really specify how she does the meat sauce, how she does her spaghetti sauce. I mean, first she takes Prego, stay with me. She hand makes her own meatballs, browns them in the oven. She also gets pork ribs, I think, like individual sort of chop-like ribs or whatever, and she puts it all in a crock pot or slow cooker. And she just lets that stew in the pasta sauce for hours and hours and hours. That's what she does. And, actually, last night is essentially what she did with the leftovers when I saw them on Tuesday when we had ham. Now, before I get into what sort of dish this was, I want to make this very perfectly clear. Growing up, this was not a dish I was looking forward to eating. It really wasn't. By all accounts, it's easily the poorest iteration you could ever find of scalloped potatoes and ham. I mean, it's not like the cream sauce is really, really, really like watery, and like the cheese never melted quite thoroughly. Like, this is the sort of thing where you give it to someone like Gordon Ramsay, they are just gonna chuck it at the wall, But I don't know if it was just due to the nostalgia or the fact I was with family, or just because this was actually really good ham. I mean, again, this was leftover ham. It was really lean ham, too. That was in the scalloped potatoes and ham. Oh, and also I should mention, they're scalloped potatoes, but they're cut really, really, really thick. They're almost the size of legitimate scallops, where scalloped potatoes are supposed to be really, really thin. These are scalloped potatoes really thin like this. I don't know if you tell. She cuts it that thick. I'm not even kidding. They're just about as thick, if not thicker, than real scallops. It's hilarious. I'm probably making this dish sound grosser than it is, but man, it just tasted really, really good. Really good. To the point where, honestly, I don't really hate it anymore. I mean, I'll be honest, growing up, I was always under the fear that, either I eat or, I don't get any dinner at all. And let's be honest, no one ever wants to go to bed hungry. That's always the worst feeling ever. Whether you're punished for it or not, whether you're being punished or I don't know what have you, but man, if you end up having to go to bed being punished without any dinner, that's always the worst. It is. No one likes that. But here, I didn't really mind it. That being said, one of these days I should probably try and make it myself to see if maybe there's any way I can improve upon it. I can think of several ways I can do it, but I'll have to sort of play that one by ear. Yeah. So it was a lovely evening after we had dinner. I watched TV with my folks for a little bit, and then I head back here. It was nice to spend time with them. And I think this is what made the night for me. My father is a huge Andy Griffith fan. And you guys remember the Andy Griffith show? And he's seen like every episode of the show. In fact, last night we were watching an episode that he had previously showed me. And in this particular, the premise of this particular episode, if any of you guys ever watched the Andy Griffith show, is where like that one sort of like old guy has to stay at their place because like his car broke down, and he's just being like sort of a rude kind of house guest. Well, not quite rude, but pretty high up there in terms of just how annoying of a house guest he is. Not like obnoxious, kind of like on the mean side. And there's this one scene where it's Andy Griffith, Don Knotts' character, and the guy are just sitting on the porch, and they're singing this really old but really good song. I give it away, but I don't know if I get like flag for it or something. I don't really know. But the point is, like, it was just a really good scene and a really good sort of episode. So yeah, my father actually introduced me to two shows, actually, Andy Griffith and Seinfeld. I mean, yeah, everyone knows that the ending of Seinfeld is considered one of the worst endings in TV show history. But the rest of the show was awesome. And you can't really take that away from you. But with Andy Griffith, I don't know what the final episode is. All I know is that I've never heard anyone say anything bad about the Andy Griffith show. Like, ever. Ever. Like, I've yet to hear, like, one negative thing about it. Other than it is a little bit past it hasn't necessarily aged appropriately. But then again, that happens with everything. So, if you take that out of the equation, there really isn't anything bad I could say about it. I guess my father's, in his own way, my old man actually sort of got me appreciative of simpler things in life. Holy cow. Although, speaking of my father, that really does get into yesterday's Hot Ones episode a little bit, because one of the questions involves Sean asking Zac Efron, Sean Evans, the host of Hot Ones, asking Zac Efron, like, how he deals with, press and paparazzi. And then Zac Efron immediately talked about how one afternoon, like, his father was with him. And prior to them, going out for a drive or whatever, Zac Efron told him how crazy the paparazzi can be. And his father's like, oh, that's not, you can't be serious. That's not remotely what happens. And as they were driving, Zac Efron immediately proceeded to tell his father, like, is there like a brown sort of sedan behind you? He basically predicted like every car model and color that was right behind him, because those are the same paparazzi that follow him every day. And then Zac Efron's dad's like, yeah, it is happening. And at that point, it started getting to the point where his father like couldn't handle it. It was actually quite funny. And I get the feeling, like, if I was in a similar situation with my mother and father, there's no way they'd be able to take that either. Or, I don't know. My father would probably find it funny, but he'd still find it a little bit annoying. My mom, on the other hand, I don't know. I'm sure I have some members in my family I have family members who watch these videos and who obviously know my mom as well. So maybe they can give me some insight on how my mother would sort of take that sort of thing. Actually, yesterday's episode of Hot Ones was pretty good. They talked about how on Explain That Graham, Zac Efron met Jim Carrey. That was pretty cool. He even talked about Disney legend Kenny Ortega. Oh, some of you guys don't know who Kenny Ortega is. Kenny Ortega, if you are a Disney fan, is quite possibly one of the greatest dance choreographers of the modern era. He's also a director as well. He's known for directing really big sort of dance choreographies. In fact, oh, that's weird. My computer went off for a second. Sorry, lost the ambient lighting for a moment. So Kenny Ortega is a director, and one example of how good he was is there's like a really good episode of Phineas and Ferb, which is an awesome show, by the way, kids. You should totally watch it. I recommend watching Phineas and Ferb, where he like directed that sort of dance choreography in one particular episode. But what he's most famous for is doing Disney Channel original movies and the dance choreography in those, specifically High School Musical. Needless to say, considering the impact High School Musicals had, and just how like fun and entertaining the dance choreography in those movies is, Kenny Ortega has earned the status of Disney legend. You can quote me on that. So yeah. That was a really good episode of Hot Ones yesterday. A really good evening with my folks. Honestly, I'm just ready to take on the day and get ready for the weekend. I think it should be quite an interesting one. Don't really know what the plan is, but I'll let you know ahead of time. Like, favorite, check out the subscribe button, follow me on social media platforms, on YouTube. Feel free to comment if you like. I am very humble. I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy today. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. And remember, if any of you guys ever want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to London here. I'll always have your back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.